Welcome to the Lawnmower Kings Plate panel discussion, and it's really going to be a good one. I think it's a fantastic day with 10 races on the card. Not only that, it's the first time that World Pools will be involved in this race day, and our guest will tell us a little bit more about that, but it really is spectacular, and I think just having the three grade ones on the day is going to be unbelievable. So we've had really top class racing leading up to this day, and I think it's just getting better with time, with horses that aren't needing their runs as much, and I think just really where it comes to the crunch where you want horses to perform. So with me to take us through the card and to indulge us in their expertise is Justin Vermaak. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky.
And also Justin Snaith, welcome.
Great, thank you.
I know you've been busy on the ground getting your horses prepared, and it's a race meeting that you, in particular, really pride yourself in succeeding.
Well, absolutely. We've been there from the beginning. My brother's always been very close with Lawnmower and the start of this big day, and it's just gone from strength to strength, and it's something that we will always be very close to, and I'm hoping that we can produce the goods on the day.
It's 22 years. This is the 22nd year that Lawnmowers have been associated with this race day.
I don't remember the first 2 years. So
For good reason.
For good reasons. I can remember us having our box on the day and having a 200-meter queue outside with security. And we said anyone below this height is not allowed in, because normally they just cause absolute chaos. So we had like a height measurement of any person under that was not allowed in for good reasons. But wow, I cannot believe it's been that long.
It's unbelievable. And I think also, as you said, it's gotten better with time. As with Justin Vermaak, the quality of racing this season has been unbelievable, and such a variety too.
Yeah, and Vicky, obviously it's we should definitely mention with this particular meeting, it is a World Pool meeting for the first time. And very importantly, as well, as we try and internationalize our racing and remove us from our small little bubble, that it's a serious Breeders' Cup qualifying race day, because now, as the public will see, the Cape Flying Championship has moved off Cape Town Met Day onto this card to create a day with three qualifying races where it's part of the Breeders' Cup Win and You're In initiative, where they allow for the winners to be highly subsidized in terms of their transport and getting in the race. And for the first time in having these actual races, these Breeders' Cup Win and You're In qualifiers, the winners actually have a realistic shot at going and competing, because they can get in the quarantine station in March and do 14 days and be in Europe, which means the end of the November date for America is something that can really be considered. So it's another interesting angle to the meeting that hasn't been there before.
And is that the reason it moved, just to include it in that?
Yes, exactly. So the Cape Fly was always a World Pool race on Cape Town Met Day, and with the partnership with the Breeders' Cup, and luckily this meeting now becoming a World Pool meeting, we're able to just shift the race across. We've moved the Winchester Sprint, which used to be on this day, onto the Cape Town Met card, which then creates a bridge into the Kaya Stables Diadem at the end of February. So the whole program flows pretty nicely for the sprinters, and we have the added bonus of having the winner of the Cape Fly able to go and run in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint.
And how exciting is it having World Pool involved with all 10 races?
Well, it's great. It's more than exciting. I think the underplayed aspect is that it's a major contribution to the stakes pot across the whole year of racing, not just this one particular race day. So the revenue that's generated from having World Pool meetings is substantial, and no doubt, it holds a big chunk in the stakes pot, which everybody, the whole industry, gets the benefit for over all race categories the whole year.
Indeed, very, very exciting indeed. And I said it, use the word exciting, Justin, but it was spectacular. So let's start off with race one. Justin Snaith, I'm going to ask you about the Charles Dickens Stakes over the 1,000 meters, because you do hold the three runners, being number 2, Sweet Green, number 6, African Wild Dog, and number 10, Champagne Castle. Any opinion of, obviously they would have come on from their runs, but do you have a preference?
Look, Champagne Castle won a very good race last time. She's certainly will be the one that I think they'll all be trying to catch. She's flying at home. She's come on from that run. So for me, she could be the one that is going to run right there. She just makes it easy. Her and Sweet Green are absolute naturals. If there's a horse that could upset Champagne Castle, it certainly is Sweet Green. I got caught a little bit in the season. It's my own fault, because it's all clear to see. but we went from an 800-meter race straight into 1,000, whereas the other provinces were going 800, 900s, and then 1,000. And I galloped a 600, and then came the 1,000 straight away, and I was just one step behind where maybe I should have had her. And that's what happened in the race. You just saw a week in the last bit, but I can be blamed for that. And I know Andrew's spent a lot of time, Andrew Fortune, so everyone knows Andrew likes to have his opinion. He doesn't want to know about Sweet Green getting beat. And he's crying that he's riding the other horse in the race, which we actually think is a horse that, trust me, can run. African Wild Dog is a horse that punters must follow. He's no slouch. He's possibly my number one colt in my yard at the moment. So I've had another juvenile colt win the race, and I don't think that he'll be able to compete at this level. And that African Wild Dog is that horse that will come on from this run, but is no slouch and is not there just to fill the numbers. He's a nice horse and needs to be taken seriously. But I am very confident of my 2-year-olds here. We came with a mission this season, and it certainly hasn't stopped yet. I do think we will be the yard to beat here.
Very good. Justin, do you think that anyone could threaten possibly number 5 Catwalk King or number 11 Kiate?
I think Catwalk King has probably got a chance of running the 2 fillies down if the speed is a little bit too much in the early parts. And like Justin said, they're stopping at the end, which was, I think, I agree with him, the reason why Sweet Green got beat last time. She went quite hard. And Catwalk King, he just, on his physical and the way he runs, he strikes you more as like a horse who's looking for the 1,200. And I just don't think he's going to be able to run the fillies down this time, especially including Champagne Castle. I mean, it's been a common theme over a few years now, but particularly this summer with the juvenile races. The fillies, when they get this 2.5 kilos with their natural bit of speed that they have,
they're quick.
It's actually a bit unfair on the colts. They're struggling a bit. The allowance might have to be reduced in the next few years to 1.5 kilos instead of 2.5 kilos, which is more what it is overseas. And as we've seen, I think we've had 3 baby races so far this summer, and fillies won 2 of them, and in the other one, Sweet Green ran second and was unlucky not to win. So it'll be interesting to see with the 2 stable mates. I'm sure the team wouldn't want a situation where they're cutting throats, but they are drawn different parts of the track. I think we'll see the natural speed from them 2 fillies, and then I think the colts will be flashing home late, but probably just too late.
Move on to race 2. It is the Drakensberg Stud B Stakes over the 1,200 metres for the fillies and mares, and a lovely competitive race which just sets us up for a great day. Justin Snaith, I'll start off with you and your runners. You obviously have a number of them in this race, just to mention them being number 3 Claire de Lune. You also have number 10 Pink Pigeon, number 11 Wild Applause, and then number 13 Vroom Vroom.
Vicky, you're either a trainer that doesn't want to run on these days, or you're a trainer that wants to run. And my clients are purely in this game. They will send horses to me, to Snaith Racing, with the idea that they'll be racing on big days. It's very simple, and that's what I do. I mean, if I was training in the UK, I'll be running horses on Royal Ascot Day, whether I liked it or not. That's what you're in the game for. So why I'm saying that is, in this race, I feel that we are a little oversubscribed. These fillies can all have realistic chances. Wild Applause has done nothing wrong up to now. She's beautifully weighted. With Ocean Murphy on, you've got to be positive about this guy riding in South Africa. He's ridden everywhere in the world at the moment, traveling around. He's the UK champion jockey. I think after here he goes to the Breeders' Cup, or he goes off to the UK for the Pegasus or something like that, where he's probably racing for 200 million rand in a race. I do like to think that he's going to help this filly a lot here. She's a type of filly he'll do well on, so I take her chances really seriously. Pink Pigeon has done nothing wrong, run in feature races, got small black type. I still think she's a little bit under the radar, and you can expect a confident run from her. Claire de Lune last time pulled up with a little bit of a virus. She will have a comeback run. Whether she can take on fillies like this, these fillies are not far off the fillies that are running in the feature race. And Vroom Vroom, maybe a little bit of a jump, but wow, she can run. So it's a hell of a... I mean, just look at the pedigrees of these fillies. pretty confident going into this race. And the backup would be a filly like Vroom Vroom, but in anyone else's yard, you take it quite seriously. I think a filly like Miss World, dropping in class, she's always consistent. Those are sort of fillies that could give us a little bit of trouble.
Justin Vermaak, obviously, Justin Snaith's covered his runners. We've got other horses to consider, possibly number 1. She's got class. Jordash for me is an interesting one. Another filly coming back in trip, which could very much suit her. And then All the Boys I've Loved, number 4, who could hopefully return to form.
Yeah, Vicky, I think it's, the nature of these races is to be quite open. I had a brief look at the early betting that was out this morning. And the horse that Justin mentioned near the end there, Miss World, struck me as ridiculously priced at like 10, 12 to 1. I thought that's way, way overpriced. I think she'll start much shorter than that. If you look at her form and what she's been running against, I'm a big believer in class, as in not the particular class of a horse, but class that horses have been running against. And this filly with a 2 draw, which is handy up the straight, her last 3 runs, she's just behind Scarlet McCaw, Mon Petit Cherie, and then 2 lengths behind Asiya Pambile, who runs in the Cape Fly. And then you look at horses like, a bit down the weights, using Pink Pigeon as an example. She was behind Catch a Penny and Festival Chic and Disting. Not quite the same level of competition that Miss World has been facing. Yet, obviously, as it always goes, the horse that's been running in the higher quality has got a bit more weight to shoulder. So I just think my concern with her would be that she's won 1 race out of 21. 14 places, so she's very consistent. She gets herself in the mix, but she seemed to have struggled to get her head in front on occasions where she may should have. So I think the 1,000 last time a little bit short for her in the Southern Cross. Now back in the 1,200 down in class, I think she's going to be the horse to beat, and her 10 to 1 price tag is a monstrous price.
Moving on to race 3, the Franschhoek Motor Museum Class 4 over the 1,200 meters. A lovely competitive race and a nice stretch of them too. So we've got, I thought that number 9, Azuri, is another horse that's been consistent. We also have number 10, Match That. Fantastic. Justin will tell us more about her. And Loving Prague, very interesting horse. Island Forever, who's returned to form, and then also Catch a Penny, who might be a little bit sharp. Justin Vermaak, I'll start off with you just to go through this race and which horses would be standouts to you.
I thought very open handicap, typical for a race of this nature on a day like this. A big field, very open, and I struggle to find a sort of angle on any of them which would say, this looks vastly under handicapped and is slung in, etc. They're all pretty, what you see is what you get. I thought one potential horse, again, who's at fairly long odds, where there might be a bit of an angle, is the number 8, Follow Your Heart, which Andrew Fortune rides, because this horse beat Star Major in the maidens, and Star Major is a very good horse. I think he ran 5th or 6th in the Hollywood Bets Cape Guineas, and he was just off them in the Cape Classic. And he's a lot better than a 1 or 2 time winner. He's a listed to Group 3 type horse.
And he's always been rumored to be that type.
Yeah, every day of the week he's a group horse. I'm not saying he's going to win a Group 1, but he's right up there in the top echelon of 3-year-olds, or just behind the very best. And Follow Your Heart beat him nicely in a 1,200. He then ran 4 months later and ran Stone Last, and a 3-month break followed that. So obviously summing a miss in the race. And his first run back was in 1,000 meters, too short, where he's run a good 3rd behind Gold Gaboski, who I think is a way above average horse. And now he steps into a 1,200 second run after rest. I think there's a bit of an angle with him, and a 10 to 1, it's a very good price. Other than that, Spirit is very competitive. He's very consistent. He'll be in the mix as well, but it's a very open race.
Justin Snaith, you've got number 10, Match That. She's always so impressive. Just, I think her focus and how racy she is always impressive to me. And the other runner being number 14, Elsinore.
Yeah, sadly, Vicky, we got eliminated out of this race, the majority of my runners. I suppose the unfortunate thing of having Greg Bort, Hollywood, and Justin Vermaak fixing racing is, for the first time ever on this day, we're eliminating horses, whereas previously I was asked to run horses to fill the fields. So unfortunately, I had Gold Gaboski in this race. I had Steadfast is a very nice horse. So what happened was the elimination started at the bottom. So all the the lower horses got eliminated, and then once they got to 52, they go back to the top, and everything above 62 kilos came out. So there was Gold Gaboski, all my other runners in the race. But in saying that, even before they were eliminated, well, Gold Gaboski was my main runner here. I would say that Match That is no slouch. The way she runs, she's quite impressive, and she's held up. These horses all seem a little bit in their place, but obviously the younger horses with ratings that are going to go up in time, they're the ones that I would look out for here. But we've had a couple results lately with certain trainers that are really doing well, that maybe last year weren't having a good year, and then all of a sudden, like Shane Humby and trainers like that really have found some good form this season. And a person I hope it has a good day is probably like Greg Enion. But don't Match That could easily pop up here. She's flying at home.
Isn't she always?
No, it's got no brakes. It's got no brakes. So, and I really think Ocean, one thing about Ocean, he's not just a very good jockey, he's an unbelievable horseman of the highest level. If he's not riding in races, he's riding in show jumps and stuff like that. You just need to YouTube him. He could really get on with this filly.
And that's probably just what she needs.
Exactly what she needs.
Race 4, Cartier Scepter Stakes, the Grade 2 over the 1,200 meters, and a very competitive race indeed, which is not only the aim for some horses, but also a stepping stone for them for Cape Town Met race day. So looking forward to how this is going to go, because we've got some really top quality horses. Justin Vermaak, I'll start off with you again, just because of the lovely spread of horses, and obviously we come in with Grade 1 winners amongst them all, and others that are really going to stick their hand up.
Yeah, it's a lovely race for a Group 2. It really is. Some top fillies. Interesting dynamic as we see this time of year. The 3-year-olds start to play their hands against the older horses. And I think this is one of those races you can sort of split into two categories, where you've got the older fillies of Mia Moo and Mon Petit Cherie, who are proven and distinguished performers at this level and higher. And then you've got the 3-year-olds like Princess of Gaul and Quick Step Gull, who are at the top of their crop and are now coming to take on the older horses. So it's quite interesting. Even a shout out for She's My World. I think 1,000 last time too short. She's more of a 14-ish, 1,200-ish type horse. Just the way the weights of this race are, she's only getting 1 kilo from Princess of Gaul and 2 from Quick Step Gull. And I don't know if that's enough from those fillies. I don't know if she's quite in that level, but we'll see with this race. So I think Mia Moo, she looked like a bit of a surprise winner of the SA Filly Sprint, but I think since then she's justified that performance, because she's won 1 or 2 very nice races. Mon Petit Cherie probably prefers slightly further, but has the class. I think it'll be between those 4 runners. And you know that the filly of Tini Prinsloo's, I think they're targeting the Mallorca Stakes, obviously, on Cape Town Met Day. And this is sort of an in-between run, I suppose, to keep her ticking over, because 1,200 might be slightly on the sharp side. But in saying that, she's one of those milers that's like very, very fast. And even if it is a sprint, she's not going to be outpaced. So I always like a horse coming back in trip that, like Justin, we'll talk about later on, like Snow Pilot. Snow Pilot's running in 1,000, but he's not going to be off the bit, because he's a naturally fast horse, and so is this filly. So it'll be very interesting to see how the result goes. I would have a slight preference for the 3-year-old fillies. I think Princess of Gaul, distance suited, Quick Step Gull, not inconvenienced by the trip. I think they'll put up their hands here.
Yeah, I also think that number 8, My Sensation, will throw her name in the hat. Justin Snaith, you've got a number of runners here. Are you excited for this race? Is it a bit of a challenge? You said, come out of Province Trainers, bring everything you want, give them everything. And they've come and they've showed up this year.
Yeah, but Vicky, I've got to listen to this guy.
Yes, you do.
Every time a visitor wins a race, he sends me a message. We're on a chat group with a few mates, and I've got to listen to Vermaak every time Tini Prinsloo wins a race, or was it Peter Muscat? He doesn't stop. So then I just wake up earlier to try to beat these guys. So for me, across the board, this is the strongest scepter that I've seen. And I mean, I can't remember how far back I need to go. There's been individuals, like I remember my father had like a filly like Laissez-Faire or fillies that were really, I mean, Double Grand Slam ran in this race as a 3-year-old. But for me this year, across the board, I think this is one of the strongest fillies races. This is stronger than the SA Filly Sprint we had last season. This is way stronger, honestly. The quality, look at the pedigrees, just an insane race. Where I might start looking is towards draws a little bit. I think, especially the 1200, the 5 furlong here at Kenilworth, I think you can be drawn anyway. But for me, you want to be drawn towards the inside, which will obviously it's big for a lot of those fillies that the more fancied horses are drawn there a little bit. Some of the 3-year-old fillies are drawn a little bit wide. They're going to have to do a bit of work from there. I'm using this race with all my top 3-year-old fillies. I did it with Double Grand Slam. This is a race that you come back in distance that doesn't hurt them. They're all fillies that can go 14 in a mile. This is such a good race to bring on a young filly. For me, the number one race in South Africa to bring on a young filly. I had Double Grand Slam in this race, flew through the field. I said, right, got my filly for next year. Here I've got Lowveld Lily, who will probably go for the Johannesburg fillies guineas after this. Give Me What I Want is a filly that I think everyone needs to watch out for in time. She's my world. But just a race that, for me, this is almost a field race, unless one of those superstar young 3-year-olds can take on these older horses. But good luck. These older fillies can run. Mia Moo, this is going to be very interesting. Very tough race.
And Justin, you mentioned that the draws on the inside of the 1200, because it's, as we've always said, it's a very testing and undulating course. So pace is important. And I always like it when they come off that false draw, they change legs and they can fire and they can almost go through them again. It gives them confidence.
The very interesting thing is, and a lot of people won't know this, and which surprised me. So we stood at the 1200 and the question was asked, what is the rise from the start of the 1200 to the finish line? What is it? The rise. From the start to the finish line.
20 meters?
No, I mean, that's a good guess. It's 12 meters.
12 meters.
It's a 12-meter rise of this. That's how it goes like this. When you look through it in binocs, it's a tough 1200. And that's why you see these classy fillies that maybe could be the next fillies guineas horses in Durban and stuff like that. They're going to love this trip. For me, it's so exciting to watch these horses. And it's like a group. For me, this is a group one.
Yeah, it's
all day long.
Very competitive.
Every breeder wants to own the winner of this race.
And also the most important thing about this race is the first leg of the Pick 6 on course. So you don't want to go out here. There's a R1 million carryover, so Likely Pull is 4 million. And this is probably where you want to make sure that you obviously don't want to false start.
Trust me, if you're the owner and the trainer and jockey of this race, this is the Cartier race.
Yes.
I don't have to say anything more. There's a nice little
Lovely
present.
Gifts. It is that kind of day where everyone's spoiled from the beginning to the end of
Correct.
the day. Moving on to race 5, it's Anthony Rupert Premier Trophy over the 1800 meters, another grade 2 event, and a really, really nice one. I'll start off with Justin Snaith because you've got brilliant runners here, and I think it's going to be a good race for you. So you've got number 1, Native Ruler, number 2, Regulation, as well as number 7, Okavanga. And my first question to you is, JP's riding Native Ruler over Regulation.
He chose that.
Did he choose?
Absolutely. No, he chose that. Vicky, it's an interesting one. I look at this race and I'm very proud of Snaith Racing and how hard we've worked over all the years. That we come into a race with horses like this. It doesn't just happen overnight. This is years and years of hard work, dedicated clients, going to the sales. You know, you just see these horses and you just, it wakes you up in the morning. They under the radar. They just very, very competitive horses to bring into a race like this. Everyone has their own story. They on their days they can run. Native Ruler, everyone laughed at us because we had a one-time winner in the Hollywood Vets July, but they weren't laughing afterwards when he couldn't get a run and he would have run right on top of them. Okavanga, for those that didn't see the gallop, his gallop was very impressive.
It was very good.
It was very impressive. He got 6 kilos from Native Ruler last time, and it wasn't a bad run. Plus, also the gallop showed us a little bit of maybe how we should ride him. He was rushed in the Natal season as a 3-year-old. We were trying to qualify for the big race, and it was bad. On my side, it was bad training. I didn't train him well there. I think you're going to see a very interesting horse come this day. Regulation, after his wind operation, has done nothing wrong. He's a lovely and very lucky to have Richard on. very, very a native, yeah. So Native Ruler, Okivongo. I mean, they're all very smart individuals. It'll take a horse to run the best race of their career to beat some of these horses. So look at the horses. If they're on their best day, they'll need to bring it on this day.
Yeah, you've done really well for these type of horses. Justin Vermaak, do you think following Justin Snaith's runners, anyone could threaten them? Possibly Major Master, he could put his hand up.
Yeah, he's done nothing wrong, and he's improving. You know, he stayed away from the features as a 3-year-old because he was, you know, an immature backward sort, and he's now put his hand up because he's coming along this Peninsula Premiers type route. Again, just looking at class of competition here, and it's why I prefer Okavango and Native Ruler to Regulation and Major Master. You know, if you look at Regulation's form, although he has won really well, he beat Umfula and Major Master and got beat by Tenpenny 2 runs ago. Whereas Native Ruler and Okavango are running against Dave the King, the Real Prince, etc., at same weight terms. So I thought Okavango represented a bit of the value here because he's a bit longer odds than Native Ruler. And Okavango did beat him in the Daily News. And he gave, as Justin said, he gave Native Ruler 6 odd kilos last time and wasn't too far behind. And that was first run back over a mile. He was 8 kilos heavier than he was in Durban, so maybe just needing it. And I think now second run getting closer to his premium trip, Oisin Murphy riding, he just looked a bit tasty at 6-1 or 7-1 or whatever price he was. I think between him and Native Ruler, those are definitely the two to beat. And Regulation Major Master, they got points to prove, but they're definitely not out of it.
Justin Snaith, I just wanted to ask you about the gallop. You mentioned about Okavango. Obviously, we were standing on the sidelines watching it, but just so that the public knows a little bit more about why it was such an impressive gallop.
Yeah, well, I was sitting with Andrew Fortune and Richard Furry, and we were like, obviously you got 8 and 18 and Great Plains. And I said, well, what other jock do you want in the gallop? Let's put Okavango in the gallop. What jockey do you want? And they chose Chad Little because they said, no, he's got experience. And they got it all completely wrong. So, but
did they all jump off together?
No. Okavango was well clear.
So they were supposed to do pickup work.
But yeah, pretty much galloped together.
Okay.
To be honest, I think they got enough experience between them all, and they got it completely wrong. 8 and 18 and Great Plains were like 12 lengths, 14 lengths behind, while Okavango was cantering in front, and then they can't really hurt the horses to now make up the ground. So that's where the experience comes in. You don't have these jockeys going and now gunning after Okavango, who's cantered in front for 1,400 meters. But where I was quite impressed is 8 and 18 was at the back with Great Plains and was sort of getting his measure towards the end. Over 1,400, that is a hell of a run. Great Plains over 1,400 is a very, very smart individual. He's won big races here. So I was a bit disappointed, but I'm not one to harp on when it goes like that. I like to believe, especially in the industry that I'm in and working with animals, that all things happen for a reason. And I like to think it's good reasons. So when a gallop goes like that, I don't let it bother me or bother anyone around us or the owners, because I just feel that things happen for a reason, and there's a reason why that happened, and you just take it as a positive and move on.
It's also realistically, I know it's important, every stepping stone, but it's one piece of work in a whole journey leading up to a race. So you can't let the one thing
Absolutely.
throw off the balance.
Absolutely. And so many times we think we're doing the right thing. We all think we go to the sales and we know what we're doing. But sometimes you don't. And sometimes something might go another way and it works in your advantage. I think the impressive thing was the way Okavango he loved it. It was not a horse that you want to give too much start to. And let's see on this day. So, I mean, if he goes and bombs home here, it's a very good sign for the others.
It is indeed. And they'll build up throughout the day too as we move on to race 6, the Cartier Paddock Stakes. It's a weight for age grade 1 event over the 1,800 meters. And it really is, again, it's quite a small field of horses, just the 10 runners. But again, it's all the quality that's really come together. We've got number 1, Reed Petit, who's been impressive. Kirkenhoff, who's a little bit on the radar. Candice Bass with number 4, Rainbow Lorikeet, who does sort of take her racing to come right. She does sort of look a little bit ring rusty from the get-go and builds up. And then we've got the superb Double Grand Slam, number 5, who Justin will tell us more about. And then it sort of goes on from there. I know that number 7, Sukhumvit's got a little bit to do with the weights. And obviously number 10, Red Palace, needs to redeem herself following her last run, but is capable of it. So very interesting race. And Justin Snaith, I'll ask you, because last season you touched on the fact that Double Grand Slam knows exactly how she's running a race. If she's been beat, she's angry. She comes back determined. Have you been happy with her prep? She's had a good bit of grass work and racing.
Absolutely. I've got all the gallops I needed to get into her. No, this filly is she's incredible. She's just getting better and better. She takes a lot of work, eh? I tell you, I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever trained a filly that can take this much work.
And she's substantial.
She puts on more. I don't know what to do anymore. I honestly don't know what to do anymore with this filly. She just, the harder I work, the bigger she gets. I mean, it's just insane. Flying at home looks $1 million. As I said, I've managed to get 2 grass gallops into her. Andrew actually said in the last gallop, please don't put anything with her. She's actually so well. We just needed to get something into her. She's in a great space. She'll run her race. I mean, I think the horses, my other runners in the race, Little Susie's just not showing the form that she normally does. She is looking for ground and stuff, and as I said, she's just not doing as well. The dark horse for me in this race, and I'll say it right now, is Wishlist. Go watch the fillies Guineas.
You've always liked her.
Oh, watch. For me, the danger, this is one of the big dangers in the race to the punters. This filly over this distance, she's not a bad filly. This, watch out, flying at home. And I hate to be too confident, but I mean, watch out. I think she's one of the dangers in the race. Just go watch the fillies Guineas, and her horse. Her mother won the Oaks in Johannesburg, and she's just looking for the distance.
And also time. These type of horses, they just need the racing and need the time to get there.
Absolutely. This is, I think you can feel how I feel about this filly. She's going to run a big race.
She's got big shoes to fill. She's going to fulfill some of the other fillies like Double Grand Slam in your yard.
They get 6 kilos from the older horses, which certainly does give them half a chance. Yeah, the younger horses like Reed Petite, you're playing with the 6 kilos. Yeah.
It also does give them a good opportunity to test them. Justin, for Mark, how do you read the race?
I mean, it's, again, 3-year-olds against older horses here, and I don't know. Double Grand Slam is a multi-season champion. I don't know if any of the 3-year-old fillies this year, I don't think there's a Double Grand Slam in the crop, not from what we've seen. I mean, obviously, Quickstep Gull won the fillies Guineas. Reed Petite, who had won Class 5 and Class 4 before that, ran second. And I don't know if those horses are in the caliber of what Double Grand Slam is and what she's achieved. That being said, the biggest chink in her armor is obviously an 1800-meter race. She did win this last year, so it's not beyond all realms of possibility that she can pull it off. But I think she won that race, and she manages to win these 1800s when she runs in them because the competition is weaker than she is by a few lengths, so she gets away with it. Where if she ran against a true 2,000-meter top-class filly, a dancer's daughter or whatever, I don't know if she'd be able to beat that type of horse over further than a mile. So again, top jockey aboard, the right guy to conserve a little bit for a horse that might have a slight question mark on the distance. And she'll have too much here, I think. It'll be a shock if she gets beat. Justin spoke about Wishlist there, who I think is the biggest danger. Rainbow Lorikeet's a good filly over this trip, but she's had enough chances to beat Double Grand Slam, and I don't think she's managed it before. So I think there'll be a repeat of that. Wishlist, if there's a shock, is probably the biggest opponent. As Justin said, the mare, she was by Silvano and she won the Oaks at Turfentine. And she's by an exceptional stallion in Legislate who also gets horses to go that sort of distance. And she's always, to be honest, she's had that come-on look about her. She's always looked very good. I mean, Justin loves to slate the handicappers for rating 3-year-olds too high, but this filly was rated 88 2 runs back. So I don't know what. You wouldn't want to be an older filly running in Class 4 against Wishlist off an 88. Let me tell you that. So she's she's getting that rating that she deserves, and she looks like. We got that nice Cape Fillies Classic race, Willavington and Durban. Like she's that good. She's got that ability, I think. And Justin touched again, rightfully so, on it's so important when you look back on how races were run. If you were in the back half of the field in the Fillies Guineas, you couldn't compete, because Gavin Lerena rode an unbelievable race. He went, he dictated, he was given the race on a plate. No one challenged him. And then a filly with that much speed and that turn of foot, you're never going to peg her back. So anything that's come from the back of the field and to run a place is a run full of merit. So she'll be flashing home late. I just don't think there's anything with enough ability to beat the favourite.
And you spotted it was a very strange thing. There was a time period at Hollywood Bets Kenilworth where horses weren't running on, which is so strange.
The grass
for
was
this time of
short.
year. Oh, so it was running quick and they were
Correct.
getting away.
Yeah, and then it doesn't help when you crawl.
Yeah.
Because then
No.
you
No,
can
you
run
got
in
no
the bog
choice.
you're not running on, you know. So we'll see how this race is run. There's not obvious amounts of pace, I would imagine, but if there's not Sukhumvit, yeah, I had 51 last time, and again was allowed to bowl, as happens in Cape Town.
She's very
Sometimes
strong.
you see
She's
these
very strong.
you see these races where a horse gets 100 meters clear, and you think, oh my goodness, and then it stays on. It happens in the Cape a lot. Now got 60 kilos. If there's no speed, Double Grand Slam won't mind. So it's hard to see her getting beat.
Race 7 is the Whirlpool Cape Flying Championship over the 1,000 meters. This is the Grade 1 event that is traditionally run on Cape Town Met Day. And now that it's a winning year in for the Breeders' Cup, very exciting indeed. It's a great race. It's a great spread too, and so well represented by a number of horses. I think that it's one of those ones where Justin Vermaak, you touched on earlier, that Snow Pilot takes part in. For me, it's very exciting just because he in himself is such a big, strong individual and has so much pace. But we also have a raider here, the top-rated horse in South Africa, in number 13, Buffalo Storm Cody, amongst others. But it really is spectacular. This, how do you read the race?
Yeah, it is. And I don't want to harp on about it, but it's a message that we've been trying to get across this year. We sit on the graded races committee and see how the races at this top end are struggling because of reduced horse population. And the message has been clear. We need to get our good horses traveling around in order to keep these races at these levels. Funny enough, the Cape Flyer was one race who received a warning letter this year for not achieving the ratings it should. But now when you see this field, we know we're safe for another couple of years because the ratings of the top runners is very high. It's very strong. And again, because of raiders, 7 of the 15, half the field of the Cape Flower raiding horses. The ones right at the top, the I Am Giant, Lucky Lad, obviously Buffalo Storm, Cody, they're all raiders. So, if we didn't have any, we'd be sitting here looking at 8 or 9 Cape-based sprinters trying to keep this race a Group 1, which is just not the way it works, unfortunately. So, there's no doubt about it on what we've seen so far. Buffalo Storm Cody looks like, the best sprinter around. He's been super impressive. He's improving as a youngish sprinter. And wide-ish draw is going to be a bit of a concern. Traveling is going to be a bit of a concern, as it always is, a bit hit and miss as it can be. Although that being said, sprinters rating down for this race have a fantastic record. I think Dice won it, if not last year, the year before. And there's been multiple ones in and around the last few years. I think his biggest danger is the mare, Sia Pambile. Very impressive last time. Strong, super fast filly. She'll be right there. She gets the 2.5 kilos. And I just think those other colts like Tenango and I Am Giant, they've never really looked like true weight for age sprinters to me. They've always looked like just that notch below. And you've seen them win Group 2s. And then when they get to Group 1s, it's a little bit tough. And both of them, I don't think, are 5 furlong specialists. They both need 6 furlongs. So you're looking at the pure 1,000-meter horses. Sia Pambile is not going to struggle. Buffalo Storm Cody won't struggle. And an interesting horse is Mike de Kock's 3-year-old, Constellation, bred for speed. He's been super quick. He hasn't beaten much, but, again, I like to wind up Justin, as he says earlier, but it's fantastic the horse is here because he's rated 113. The horse might run third and he goes to 100.
He deserves to be here.
Yeah, he deserves to be here, but his rating is low. He's out at the weights. Mike and the team know if he runs a place, he's going to 120 something. But they don't care because they're not worried, over-obsessed with their handicaps. They're here to compete. They want to run in the big races. So let's see how the horse goes. And then it's nice. It's not often this time of year that you get a good line with 3-year-old sprinters and older sprinters. Normally the 3-year-olds wait until, the Mercury Sprint and those sort of races. So that'll be interesting to see. And I'm going to finish now. We touched on Snow Pilot once or twice. Like, it's going to be really cool to see him in this sort of race because he is so fast. And I know a 5 furlong, it's a different type of speed. But like I said, I can't see him out the back door showing, battling to keep up.
Well, I think with Snow Pilot, Justin Snaith, the fact that he can travel at that speed for such a long period of time, put him in 1,000 meters. Yes, some of them might get a little bit of flying. I mean, direct hits as fast as they come at the beginning part, but he can maintain it throughout, where some of them start dwindling the last 100.
Look, it's just to see, and also to get him his fitness back. I ran him in a couple of those miles, and I would love to have put him in a 14 and races like that, but there isn't those races, and I just feel that this will just bring him on. It's just another race for him. I have a list of 5 worst rides in my career, and they're filled with like Bernard Vaderherb and Bulgarian in the Derby. JP is in the top 5. Keegan earned himself into the top 5 here after his ride on this horse last time. So I think I'm just trying to take the turns out of equation, just reset. He's a beautiful individual, but I do think that the visitors are going to be hard to beat here. They're coming from Joburg. They're quick. Some of our sprinters here in the Cape, for me, have been okay, but this is the race for them to prove themselves. So I give a lot of respect to this is the race. If the visitors are going to come win a race, this is the race that they could be hard to beat in.
It's also lovely to have Dean Smith here from Quebec. I know Zietsman also has a runner, Justin, on the day. But it's nice that they throw their name in the hat and they come. They're not scared and have often humbled us all here in the Cape.
Well, the PE sprinters have done very well. The juveniles do very well too. And not just Alan, who with that exceptional year that he had last year, but historically they've done really well. So again, it's good that they come and compete. It's not a pipe dream. We see them win. In fact, so far with Johannesburg Raiders in particular, we've had the 2 Guineas and the Green Point go the way of Raiders, which are 3 of the crown jewels of the summer season. And I don't think it's going to be the end. So again, it's not a provincial thing, provincialism or anything like that. When you're looking at the graded races and the pressure they're under to maintain their ratings, nationally we need competition, and that's why it's so good to hear of Justin's plans to take some horses up to Johannesburg, because we know a lot of those Johannesburg races are battling to maintain their levels as well, because they're not really getting Raiders there. We now having the pleasure of having half the field of the Cape Fly being supplemented by Raiders, whereas the computer form sprint's not really having that pleasure. It might get 1 or 2 every odd year. So the more that these good horses get around, the better it is for the sport.
Well, I think that's always the unified national focus, is the graded level of our races and maintaining that, because that's so important to the standard overall for so many reasons, including the stud book.
Well, that's the way the pattern is supposed to work, and that's the job of the graded races team, to try and ensure that the spacing is right, and more so than ever, because historically, when we had 6,000 horses, the Cape could have a Group 1 Cape Derby this weekend, and Johannesburg could have a Group 1 SA Classic, the same race, the next week. And there'd be enough horses in each region to sustain. Now there's simply not. So those sort of things are being looked at all the time. And just, again, we do everything we can to get Raiders here. I don't think there's been an operator in the history of South African horse racing that's paid as much money to Raiders to come and raid. We're constantly seeing those Raiders checks being handed out to, I think, Junior and Senior de Kock cashed in 100,000 Rand for a day's work not too long ago. So and that's unprecedented. And that's because we are trying to get the Raiders here as much as we can to maintain the integrity and the strength of the racing. And of course, on these big World Pool days, you need big fields. So it's vital that they're here.
It is very exciting. Great insights from Justin Vermaak. We move on to race 8, the Lomara Kings Plate. It's the weight for age over the 1600 meters, the grade one that everybody wants to win. So looking forward to the 14 horse field, and just carrying through from what Justin said, the great thing about having the Raiders is just the spread of competitiveness across the board. And we do have Dave the King, who's a previous Equus Horse of the Year. Number 2, Jan van Gooyen, also an Equus winner. But it doesn't stop there either. We've got the Hollywood Bets July winner in the Real Prince. We also have number 7, 8 on 18, who's the Cape Town Met winner. And it's interesting, you always have eye catchers on the day that you really want to pay attention to. And who was it last time? It was Garrix in his prep run, and it was See It Again. Very interesting runs from horses who really put their hands up. So it's going to be a great race, Justin Vermaak.
Yeah, it will be. Again, 6 or so Raiders supplementing the field, which is great. We always look at these races before the season starts, knowing on these days, you know, normally like the Paddock Stakes and the Lawrence Kings Plate, the Green Point in particular, we struggle to get fields together. But for whatever reason, there seems to be, this year, we have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to top class milers. I mean, in the Green Point, I think if there were the 14 runners, 12 were rated over 120. I mean, it's ridiculous. And you've seen that carry over now into this race this year, which there's so many champions in this race. It's truly panned out to be an exceptional race. Having a little look at the betting, I was a bit surprised this morning. I think Jan van Gooyen, being the 3-year-old, I mean, he thrashed them in the Hollywood Bets Cape Guineas, and obviously justifies being near the top of the boards. But he was quite a strong favourite. And horses like Garrix and Dave the King, who led them home in the Green Point, were 10, 12 to 1, which I thought was quite interesting. You watch, again, harping on about how races are run. Dave the King obviously had Snow Pilot, as Justin was talking about earlier on, is outside there, and he was challenged a little bit. Like Mark came out and said afterwards, probably not ideal for Dave the King because he wasn't.
Well, he was constantly pressed.
Yes, and he wasn't at peak levels to have that fight taken to him that
You wouldn't
early
think
on.
they're related by marriage, the way they were going in
the way
front
they
there.
were going, sure, absolutely. So, but then on the flip side, when you see where Garrix was, he came out the pens 3 lengths slow, and Smunger thought he was riding in the Gold Cup, and the horse was from like 3 draw 150 meters behind, and See It Again was about 5 meters in front of him, and they came into the straight with a lot to do. And for like that turn of foot of Garrix, I thought was rather impressive because he wasn't running past, the Winter Series horses like he ran against last year. He quickened past the names on that list very easily. And if he didn't have to switch late, he probably would have headed the winner. So very, very open race. You got Gladiatorian in there and the Real Prince. They'll both be back. They had their one run, couple lengths off. You got to forgive one run like that. They will both be back. Sail the Seas ran a cracking race. See It Again, we touched on. And then, of course, 8 on 18, which for me, I've said this throughout the season last year. I think he's the best middle distance horse we've had in a decade. I think he's that natural. He's that good. He's like in that Futura, that level of horse. We haven't seen a middle distance horse like that in quite a while, I don't think. He's worthy of, if he went overseas to run for us in the Dubai Turf and those sorts of races, I think he wouldn't be out of place. But it's a mile and he hasn't run in a while. So when you're not a top class miler, he's a very good one, but he's a middle distance horse. That's his absolute perfect trip. And coming into it without a run, and then it's one thing if you're bumping a weakish mile. He's bumping a stacked division of milers. So I think that might just count against him here. He'll be there, but I don't think he's going to have the zip that the milers have.
And also the pace is going to be on. We don't have a question with, often you sit and you think, oh, who's going to be the pace this year? We don't know that problem.
Pace will be on. Jan van Gooyen's obviously the interesting horse. He's no surprise. I didn't think it was a surprise to see him win the Guineas the way he did. Maybe in the fashion that he won it, but he was champion 2-year-old of South Africa, which says it all. And we were having obviously this discussion building up to that race. There were a lot of Cape 3-year-olds that have been in the mix together, but nothing that really asserted itself at the top. And then to see the Joburg horse, who has been a standout, come and win wasn't too much of a surprise. And in saying that, there's two Joburg 3-year-olds called Trust and Tin Pan Alley, who, if they're worse than Jan van Gooyen, they're not more than a length or a length and a bit. So if they all came, they might have run 1, 2, 3 in that race, So it's very interesting where that 3-year-old mile. We have these conversations every year, 3-year-olds versus 4-year-olds. People get polarized by it, but in reality, there's never more than a length or so between the older horses and the young horses. So it'll be very interesting to see how he goes.
It will indeed. And you touched on Gladiatorian briefly, and it's interesting that he was drawn 2 out of 13, but if you look at how far he was behind coming to the straight and where he actually finished, so irrelevant of where he finished, but the lengths behind Dave the King, he was an impressive finisher.
Yeah, and there's months and there's seasons of form to look back at. He's run against all these horses at various racetracks around the country and beaten them a lot of times, been right there a lot of times. The same for the Real Prince and Dave the King. So it's going to be a humdinger.
Justin Snaith, this is going to be a hell of a race. I can't wait for all the banter leading up to it between you and Mike de Kock.
Oh, he hasn't stopped. I had him yesterday. He hasn't stopped. But because he started so well. But this is going to be tougher. I mean, I'm looking at the field. There's a lot of horses here that wouldn't surprise people if they were to win. It's a very open race in many ways. I've had a few hiccups with 8 on 18. But he's very well. He's looking like today was the best day. It's just you get these good horses. The closer you get to the race, all of a sudden, all the lights are coming on. Like today was the best day. Like I think like he knows there's a race coming up. He's had his couple of gallops. There's a race coming this weekend and the light's coming on. So the closer we're getting to the race, the more I'm feeling that he's going to run a monster. Obviously, Ocean Murphy is a big one. At the time, Richard couldn't commit, obviously with his work elsewhere, and they were looking at running a horse in this race, where the problem came. And we didn't really have a rider for him, and we're just very fortunate with our relationship that we could get Ocean to subsidize for this race and substitute for this race. And this is a very good horse. His best form over a mile might not suggest that he could win a race like this, but you just can't count him out. He's improved from a 3-year-old. Just burn off Ado Sesame, you guys are dreaming of something that's going to beat that. You just the jocks that know, like if you ask Anton Marcus or something like that, just know a good horse is a very good horse, and so get a lot of respect to him. The horse of mine in this race, if I look like things are going to go its way, will be a horse like Sail the Sea. Good draw. I like the draw at 5. The last run, another couple strides, he wins the race. 3rd run, he's got everything going for himself into this race. I do think that's a horse that if you like playing a quartet, that could be the right horse. For your quartets as like a roving banker, I think he's going to be right there. Muzi rides this horse really well. Every time he rides this horse, he rides a 10 out of 10 ride for me on this horse, and then he rides 3 horses after this, and it's a 1 out of 10. So, but him and this horse just really get well. A lot of respect to Garrick on that last run. He came in late into the season. He looked like a teddy bear, and now all of a sudden he's just stripping quite fit. So I do give a lot of respect to him. To a horse like See It Again, very interesting horse. Obviously he's with me in the Cape because of Milan. Milan's doing a lot of work. And the horse needed a change from Natal in a way. He's really doing well. That last run was very impressive. If he hadn't had to get around, Grant was starting to weave in the green point, and unfortunately we had to check. Otherwise, I think he would have just about won the green point. Very interesting horses. This horse can run.
Do you know what, Justin, when I saw him come to the course, he had to, I think it was when he got passed through the pens.
Yes.
And the colour in his coat, he's definitely striving in a different way that I haven't seen him for at least 2 years. Just because he's obviously just, something's changed. Like you say, maybe the Cape's just made him flourish a little bit.
Look, I think he does do well in the Cape. I mean, when he came down here, listen, he loves the beach. I rode him on Friday at Muizenberg Beach, and he loves it. So, just a horse for me. I don't think you can leave this horse out of anything. Like with Mace and that, he gives you sleepless nights. This horse, there's always something. I feel sorry for Mace for the years this horse can. This horse is as good as Do It Again was, but he's got his own mind, and I think rather go into this race negatively and hopefully that it all goes well, than rather get hopes up and he decides not to load or anything like that. But the guys here in Cape Town have been fantastic. Fred, the starters, everyone's on the same page. They all want to see the horse run, so I commend the guys here in the Cape. They really have been a pleasure to work with. And my other runners, Legal Counsel, is a horse that will probably go up handy and probably follow Mike's other horse and just ensure that there's a nice pace.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key thing, is who's going to manage to do that and handle it really well and enjoy it. Do you, Justin, Vermaak, I'm going to ask you about the Real Prince.
Yeah.
Do you think that he's going to still need this run?
I mean, I wouldn't think so. Proper blowout last time. Dean gets his horses fit. He's again, he's one of those horses who's a proper, genuine top Group 1 winner in his own right on his day, like a lot of them are. Even Cosmic Speed, I mean, he's drawn 14 out of 14, but he beat a lot of this field quite comfortably before. He's a Group 1 winning miler. Like he's a proper miler. Probably not the best of preps, and I think that's sort of like in these sorts of races, you always favor the horses that haven't had any. They're not coming off a slightly flattish, lethargic, uninspiring run. You want something that's really put its hand up, and because it's so competitive. So you always think like a horse who maybe ran a few lengths below last time, it worries you. Is he going to get there 3 weeks later for this race? So that might be a bit tricky. But the Real Prince, I mean, he won the big race this year in Durbs, and he's a miler, 1,800-meter horse, I think, in his speciality trip. So he's alive if he brings his best foot forward.
It's going to be a good one. It is indeed. Look at these two sitting on the couch, looking forward to Justin Snaith's got a lot of work to do between now and then. Justin, are you looking forward to the week? Just seeing, because I mean, is the majority of the work done?
Well, look, funny you say that. All the jocks are riding in the Eastern Cape tomorrow, so that's a bit disappointing. So I have no riders. But I have a good team that will fill the void. So that's not ideal. So I have to deal with that tomorrow. But it's second nature not having jockeys riding work. So it's not. I'm quite geared for it, but it's certainly not ideal in the midst of a Group 1 week like this.
Well, do you know what you'll do? You'll show up.
Absolutely, I'll be there. I might
Correct.
be riding work again.
Well, there you go. Looking forward to the big one as we move on to race 9. It is the Cape of Good Hope Chairman's Cup over the 2,500 meters, and a lovely staying event. And it's interesting. You've got number 8 ahead of the facts. He's been such a lovely horse for me to follow. I've enjoyed him because he doesn't quite look like a typical stay, but he's got the great action and a huge heart with it. And it's watching him in number 4 Holding Thumbs. I mean, it's the tall and big of it all and not, but. It's going to be a good race. I also thought that number 1, Damio, coming back to the Cape where he started is an interesting one. And Justin Snaith, you've got it's an unfortunate thing with number 5, Triple Time. He's such a wonderful horse, and to watch him run is unbelievable. It has been quite some time since he's won. Do you sit and question what will it take for his rating to drop?
He hasn't won in so long. I think there's been 3 handicappers between the time he last won and now. So all 3 handicappers that had the opportunity to drop him a point or 2, even the time when he ran 35 lengths back, and they just don't. So it's very sad. He's on 850 days of not having a win. But everyone will say, but he runs consistently well and stuff like that. But yeah, but at what point do you say, drop him a couple points?
Put him back in the game.
No, we don't care. You can drop him. It doesn't matter. He's retiring. So he'll race here, and then he'll race on Met Day. And we've just decided that it's just a waste of time carrying on. We get told, we don't run horses when they're 8 in South Africa and they do overseas. Well, ask yourself, this tells you why we don't. He's such a beautiful animal. I have so much time for this. He can be my daughter's show jumper one day. So he can retire. He'll race here. This is the only one of my runners on the day that Ocean could make the weight. As long as the horse comes home in sound and he gets one more run. And then hopefully we'll have a fourth handicapper soon in South Africa. And he'll be a beautiful lead pony in my stable. So I just love this horse. He's given us years of consistent racing, unfortunately for him, though. So it's a shame he'll retire after Met Day. And hopefully he goes well here and we can win one of these last few races before he retires. But certainly a race I think we're quite well in with some of the horses. For my brother, one of our best bets on the card for the whole day is Master of Paris for 50 kilos, where the handicapper is quite harsh with Triple Time. Here, he was obviously on leave because Master of Paris comes in with 50 kilos and is pretty slung in here. If you look at what Master of Paris has done in his career,
He's remarkable.
it's unbelievable. He dodges the handicapper, this horse. I mean, I wish I had 10 of them. My two greys here, I mean, I love them. They're just the most beautiful animals. Slung in, Muzieni will probably just about make this race. He might be a half over. Certainly a horse you got to respect, especially over this distance. When you go these long distance races, weight carries. You can't carry weight, and certainly he's got a lot of respect. Magic Verse if he gets the distance, but also there he's carrying 62. It's going to be tough. Ahead of the Facts. Last time, I tell you, Jock, that's riding a little rough, but in a good way, is Chad Little, because he wants to win. So I respect that. But last time out, when he was riding Glenn's horse, he cleverly put pressure at the right time.
It's a Bernard Vedderherb move.
Yes, and Grant and all these guys. And at the moment in South African racing, you're allowed to bump a bit. They're allowing it. You've seen how many bumps we've had lately, and the staffs are allowing it to go. They really like to see a proper interference, and the jock has to do this, maybe even less than that, and they're not going to change the result. So in that race, JP just did half this, and Holding Thumbs got the measure on us. And I do like this rider.
Use a Ramzam.
Yes, he runs well. He rides well for me, and he's such a pleasure to actually deal with. And I really hope that he could run a good race. I do think he's going to be one of those horses in the finish. But there are a lot of horses, I'm sure Justin will, that do have a shot here. I think there's a filly in the race, and Justin will be sending me a message that a filly's won a Colts race.
Philly's radar.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
double whammy. Brilliant.
but a lovely race to watch. This is one of the nicest races to watch on the day. They literally go around the whole course. It's going to be unbelievable to watch.
It is really good to watch, and as the race builds up, you think, is it set? And you can keep guessing the whole way until they come into the straight and see who's going to fire. And Justin, for Mark, who do you think is going to fire in the finish here?
I think Ahead of the Facts is going to win. I know you respect the stable analysis of Master of Paris. Just for me, again, the class aspect, like Master of Paris, he's done really well. He won the country championships, I think. As a three-year winning those Class 5 races, and now here he is in the Group 3 2-5, which is fantastic. Ahead of the Facts beat him quite nicely in the Willavington. There's a couple of kilos swing, but I think Ahead of the Facts, the rating is still on his side. Good stayer. I think him and Holding Thumbs. Holding Thumbs obviously has the weight, but he'd had the weight last time too, and he's so game that he'll definitely be in the mix. It's quite hard to read, like the form of Damio. I mean, I was at Turfentine that day. He won the Java, and he won so well. It was quite something. And then obviously he got beat 31 lengths his next start, and the start before he won, he got beat 20 lengths. So he's quite hit and miss. There might be very obvious reasons for why he went to miss in those races, but I don't know what they are.
He had a wind up, yeah.
So he's very inconsistent, and now he's traveling, and it's tricky. The World of Alice has never been anywhere near this distance before, although she runs like she might get the trip. And then, Zietsman brings his horse from PE, which is fantastic. Again, we've got 3 of the 9 we would have a 6-horse field with 3 Cape trainers if we didn't have the other guys here. So thank you very much to them for coming, and I hope they go well. I think you're going to see here again Vicky holding thumbs ahead of the facts, triple-time Master of Paris. I think that's where the race will be.
Let's move on to the last. It's race 10, Oriental Charm B Stakes over the 1400 meters, and a spectacular way to round off the day, especially when we've got some horses that are probably still prepping for more things throughout the season. But this is an unbelievable race. For me, it's so great because I thought that number 13, Touched by Angels, would battle over the 1400 just on how he's got a tricky mouth, and Peter Muscat always mentions that he's he can be a little bit overzealous. One of my favorite horses in training is number 8, Dusk Till Dawn. I think he's a great little horse. I hope he's got a good attitude at home, Justin. But good. But you're also very well represented here. It doesn't quite stop there. We also have Beware. Roland Garros takes part. But you have a number of runners in this field, Justin, that are just still waiting to put their hands up.
Yeah, look, Vicky, this is one of those races where I feel like we are a little bit... These horses could win on any other day of the week. But, I mean, who cares if you win a race on Wednesday at Durbanville or the Vaal or Scottsville? Yes, great, but these days are special. I mean, you have them all around the country in Turffontein and Greyville, those days that you want to win races. I mean, that's why we've got these horses, because also there are a couple of horses that worry. So here, for me, the worst distance to have a bad draw at Kenilworth is the 1400. It's been a big problem this season. You've got to get around. It's a very short time to the turn.
It's like a 12:50 at Hollywood Bets Durbanville.
Absolutely. Could the long run in.
Yeah.
So the longer run in, shorter back straight. Very tough. So I know Peter Muscat's horse's favourite. I don't see that happening here. Or he's got to be way better than his current rating or what they think of him. He's going to have to be properly good here. To go around this field and beat horses like Beware, that wasn't too far back, badly drawn in the Guineas, maybe just one step, but I get it. You got to have a go in a big race like that. Back here with a 1 draw, and right next to him is a horse of mine that also ran in the Guineas, ran an absolute cracker, Roland Garros. They've drawn 1 and 2. They're going to have it all their way, but they did get rating adjustments. There are very high-rated 3-year-olds against older horses. This, for me, is the max that a 3-year-old can carry in a handicap. They at the max. I mean, anything above that, you wouldn't run a 3-year-old in a race like this because their ratings are so high. You'll rather be looking for races against their own age group, weight for age sort of terms. So because of that, you bring in horses like Mented Manu, that are hard knockers, Dawn to Dusk. I mean, he was having a come-on run and got beat by, I think it's Candace's horse that's running in the Group 1.
All the rage.
Which for me was a bit disappointing for All the Rage. Although you won, here's a horse having a comeback run, finishing a length or a half, 2 lengths behind him. So I give a lot of respect to that horse. And Air Raid's a nice horse, but please be true. I wasn't looking at scratchings, and my brother snuck Grant on him. And the reason is because he is a horse. I mean, we all know Please Be True can run on his day, but he always finds something to go wrong. So who better to put on than Grant van Niekerk? I mean, they're 2 peas in a pod. And we're looking for that X factor, and Grant van Niekerk was born with it. Even though he's lost it here and there, Grant is Grant van Niekerk, and he can always pop up on the day. So that was my brother's shrewd little jockey choice there.
And you got number 7, Power and the Glory, with obviously Ocean rounding off the day for you.
Very much so. So this is another horse. As I said, with the 3-year-olds so you've got the 3-year-olds that are really highly rated and they're carrying monster weights. I mean, Roland Garros, 61.5. What a lovely horse, but 61.5, going to be tough. This horse, last time out in a 1200, from a bit of an outside draw, didn't get beat that badly. He'll be strip fitter for this race. And with Peter Muscat's horse, if he doesn't get over that well, this is a horse that's certainly on his day. His run before that over 1400 was very impressive. You cannot leave this horse out. What a race for quartets. End of the day, those that are still sober, this is a race that you could make some proper money.
You could indeed. Justin, let's help the public. The sober and not sober ones.
Well, that counts him
Get
out.
out.
I'll be safe.
Is that Mike and I got?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
guys
go on,
will-
tickets.
I'll be more than fine. Vicky, yeah, it's a cracking good race. I quite like it to end the day. Very, very competitive. As Justin said, some 3-year-olds there that are essentially group horses. Roland Garros, Beware, etc. Taking on some very good older horses too. Some real proper class 3 type sprinter milers that have done really well. And in Roland Garros's case, unfortunately, giving a little bit of weight away. I still like him a lot in this race. I think he's the horse to beat. I think he's in the 5-ish, 6 to 1-ish area, which I think for each way players is just a great bet. He's run second at Hollywood Bets Durbanville in Class 3 Company, which was a good run, 12.50. He then was a very good run in the sophomore, second behind a horse who I think is going to end up a very, very good horse. That horse of Dean Canamay's Green. That's a very, very good horse. I think Dean elected to not go Guinea's route with him because he's still a bit backward, etc., which probably will end up being a shrewd move. Not sure he would have had the toe now to beat the Jan van Gooyens, etc. So he's kept him for round 2 of his bullets for later on in the season. And that is a very good horse. So no shame in getting beat by him. And then I think personally for me, a mile is probably just beyond Roland Garros's reach at the minute. Not saying he doesn't get there down the line, but I think that Guinea's mile is probably a touch testing for him. And even so, he still only got beat 4.5 lengths, bearing in mind Jan van Gooyen won by 2.5 lengths or whatever it was. So he was maybe 2 lengths behind the second horse, behind Happy Verses and Randolph Hearst. I mean, that's pretty good going if you're running over 100 meters or so too far. And with this draw, as Justin summarized there with the course and distance, having that draw where he is a gift. And I can see him getting a horse or two to lead him and having a bit too much turn of foot for the rest at the end. That being said, there's not going to be much between him and Beware like there wasn't last time. And lots of respect for Power and the Glory, who, again, he's won sprint races in this class. He beat Black Eagle 2 runs back, who's a pretty handy sprinter, and then third in a strong progress plate. So this is the right type of race for him. Slight preference for the 3-year-old Roland Garros.
Yeah, that wraps up our card. I'm going to ask you, Justin Vermaak, first. What are you looking forward to most this day?
In terms of
Raiders.
the race, yeah, the wind-up afterwards after another whitewash will be interesting. But I think most definitely I never really go for the headline event to try and pick something else. But I think the Lawrence King's Plate with the horses that it's thrown up this year. I mean, it's one of those races where, remember, I'm so bad at remembering time frames, but we had that famous picture of the Green Point where Legal Eagle and Rainbow Bridge and all those horses were
Do it again.
They're all within a head. There were only 5 horses, but they all finished within a head of each other. I think this race has got the potential to throw up a really memorable result because of the horses that are in it. And you know, it's halfway through the season now. It's early doors in terms of Group 1s. We've only had a couple, but these sort of races set the tone for the Equus Awards and those sort of things later on in the season. So that for me is the standout event.
Justin Smith, what are you looking forward to?
Holiday.
Well, your family's been already, so
They're back. They're in Ramada. So I've worked. My team, we've worked really hard. I'm sure every other trainer and everybody has worked just as hard, or maybe some not as hard. But we have really grinded through this period. We'll arrive on Saturday. It's like running a marathon. Maybe not Justin and I, well, maybe Justin at the moment doing a high rocks thing or something, but you arrive at the event and you're ready. You know, there's nothing better in sport than arriving at an event and you say, right, I've done everything we can do. We are ready. Like, throw it at us. Like, it's not, we are ready. And I really feel that way. We've grinded to bring what we hope everyone will be proud of, and we'll see some serious racers. Every race on this card for me is what, if you said like 10 years ago, what we'd be dreaming of, what a race day will be like. This for me is just showcases some of the best of South Africa. You've got all the trainers from Durban, Eastern Cape, Johannesburg. They're all here. We've got international jockeys. Under the circumstance, what we've all been through and what racing's been through, I don't think we could showcase a better day. Impossible. And wow, it's just going to be unbelievable.
No, spot on. Well, let's hope it all comes all the best. Go well. Thank you very much for your time.
Let's hope so. Thanks.
A few more sleepless nights to get there.
Yeah.
Justin, thank you very much also for your time.
Thank you. See you on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll see you all on Saturday. Looking forward to it. And a reminder to make sure you get your Punters Challenge on in time, and the Pick 6 carryover of 1 million leading to race 4 being the first leg of the Pick 6 on the day. So please join us. It's a World Pools Day, and can't wait to see how it's going to go. It's going to be a superb day at Hollywood Kenilworth. Thank you very much for joining us.